Aloha and good afternoon, everyone. Based on recently received information, the Honolulu Police Department will be opening a manslaughter investigation involving two of our officers. The information that we have preliminary and is subject to change. However, we feel it's important to inform the public at this time. In late December, District 1 Crime Reduction Unit officers stopped a male who they believed was operating a stolen moped in the Alamoana Shopping Center parking lot. Physical force was used by the officers to make the arrest, at which time physical force was used by the officers to make the arrest, which resulted in the male sustaining injuries to his face and torso. The 77-year-old male was taken to the hospital where he refused treatment and was subsequently booked for unauthorized control of a propelled vehicle, then released pending further investigation. 2 days after being arrested, paramedics and police officers went to the male's home to provide medical assistance. The male told the responding officers that he had been assaulted by police officers 2 days earlier. He then was transported to the hospital where he was found to have multiple rib and facial fractures. For reasons unknown at this time, the male left the hospital several hours later that same day. Sadly, he was found deceased in his home in January 10th of this year. The case was initially classified as a first-degree assault, but based on the medical examiner's autopsy findings, the manner of death was homicide, with the cause combined effects of existing medical conditions and recent chest and rib injuries. The case will be reclassified to manslaughter. According to the medical examiner's office, homicide refers to a volitional act committed by another person caused harm, which resulted in or contributed to the death. Homicide does not indicate or imply criminal nature of the act, criminal intent, or wrongdoing. 2 Crime Reduction Unit officers were placed on restrictive duty shortly after his death in January. They have 3 and 8 years of service. The manslaughter investigation will be conducted by our Criminal Investigation Division and our Professional Standards Office. In addition, the Professional Standards Office will also be conducting an administrative investigation for violations of department policies and procedures, to include the review of the actions of the officers who responded to the male's home 2 days after his initial arrest. As these investigations are ongoing, we remind everyone that the information may change, and we ask for the public's patience as we move forward. With that, I look forward to your questions.
Chief, so is your understanding that these two officers then beat this 77-year-old male?
That's not what I said. What I said is these officers used force to effect an arrest on the suspect who sustained injuries based off that arrest and the use of force.
Are the findings correlated though, of the fractures that you mentioned that the individual had to the officers that day of the arrest?
I think a part of that portion of what you're asking is under investigation as to the cause of death and the manner. I think the medical examiner's findings is one thing, but I think the investigation needs to continue to find out exactly how and why these things happen.
Chief, did you have an exact date on this incident took place?
This was late December of 2023.
Hope you don't have a date.
I don't remember the exact date. It was sometime, I think it was around Christmas time, because we were conducting hotspot policing operations in the Alamoana area. And in that area, it was known for what we call unauthorized entry into motor vehicle, or breaking into vehicles, stealing the contents from within, or people were stealing cars in that area. And so these plainclothes officers, crime reduction unit officers, were in that area conducting those hotspot policing operations.
Any idea how long the investigation will take, and what punishment could these officers be facing if found guilty?
Well, there are probably several more months before the investigation is concluded. At such time, the investigators will take that case to the prosecutor's office, and then at that time, it needs to be seen what would happen at that point.
Was the male resisting arrest?
I think the investigation will play that out. I think we need to know more information as to the engagement between the use of force and why.
And is there any footage, body worn footage from the officers?
There is no body-worn footage for the incident at Ala Moana. That those officers do not wear body-worn camera.
To clarify a couple of things, so the officers involved have not been charged,
They have not been charged.
and initially the victim, or the male in question, he refused treatment.
That's correct.
What can you say about the circumstances of the initial incident at Ala Moana? Why was he being arrested again?
My understanding is the vehicle that he was operating, the moped, was reported stolen, or at least in our system was reported as stolen.
Was he correctly identified? Or like, how was he identified through this investigation, through this report, that this was the
At the time of the arrest,
Yes.
I believe that the officers saw him get on the moped, at which time they stopped him at that point. If there are no further questions, thank you. I appreciate your time.